My name is Randall. I'm the owner of Red Marketing. I'm here answering any questions around Google Merchant Center suspensions. If you have a question, I'll happily answer it. This is a live Q&A around that topic.
Hi, Randall. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Thank you. I'm good. So I had a few questions because I got suspended with GMC.
Okay.
So first of all, I wanted to know if we need to have all of the images at the same time all around the website.
What do you mean if you need to have all the images at the same time? Like you have some placeholder images or you haven't uploaded all of your images? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
So I have all my images uploaded, all the products, but not all of them are the same size.
Okay. That's generally not an issue. Are you suspended for misrepresentation?
Yes.
Yeah, that's generally not an issue that's going to cause like a misrepresentation suspension. What you want to more look at is what Google is going to look at. So they typically look over the information you have to put inside of your merchant center. So policies, your products do come into play, but since we're using the Simprosis app, you want to go in there and just check the Simprosis app and go through there and see if you have any notifications about your products. So policies is a big one. What information are you displaying inside of your store, such as your address, any phone number, and then make sure that your Simprosis app is uploading your products correctly. It shouldn't be an issue with image sizing.
Okay, thank you so much because that would be a lot of work to just resize all of them.
Yeah. They make a recommendation somewhere inside of their studies or inside of their policies, but it's not like a hard cap. You don't have to absolutely have this. It's only a recommendation.
So I also have
Much a concern inside of like a suspension related issue, you might want to look into that a little bit more when you get ready to advertise, as the rectangular style images will display a little bit differently on Google Shopping. And you just want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward when you're trying to attract your customers.
mm, understandable.
Does the registered agent address have a suite number associated to it, or is it just a here it is?
It's just an address, like a
I
home
would
address.
recommend not using your registered agent address inside of your website at all. What you can do is you can just go ahead and remove the address from your website as long as we have a phone number and an email, like we talked about.
Mhm.
Google's only looking for 2 out of the 3. And then on the backside of your merchant center, the address you put in there underneath your business profile, that you can use as a personal verifiable address because the only person who has access to that is Google itself.
So I can remove the address from the website front end and back end, and then
Yeah,
on GMC I can use my home address.
correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
So the other questions I had was about footer on the website. What information do we need to include, and like how many columns? Um, if there's like any specific information that needs to be there.
The columns is more of a personal preference according to appearance. Information that we recommend is you want to have your business name. You want to have the way to contact you. So your phone number generally, if you're going to put a phone number and email there, you need to have what hours are those available. You also
Mhm.
want to include inside of the hours that are available, what time zone are those hours listed in, right? Your 9 to 5 might be very different from my 9 to 5. So that's something that Google looks for. You also want to include your policies inside of your footer. Those are the only things that are really required.
Thank you so much. That was all. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for asking your questions. David, I see your hand up next. Go ahead.
Hey Randall, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I just wanted to check with you. So I joined the call last week and I've got a misrepresentation suspension and I had also used a virtual address. So based on the advice you gave last week, I created a new GMC and used my UK address because I'm based in the UK, selling in the US. but I
Okay.
still have a suspension for misrepresentation.
Okay.
So my
Do you
question
have?
is,
Go ahead.
yes. So my question is on the policies, right? My shipping and return policy have got a lot of detail to them, and in GMC, there's obviously a lot less detail required. So before submitting a kind of review, is it worth limiting the amount of information in your policy initially just to the kind of bare minimum, and then once you get approved, you add all of the additional details?
So there's definitely a couple of schools of thought here. Okay. The first is, if you remember as well, you're kind of acting as Amazon in this case. So your policies should align with what the worst case scenarios are for your suppliers, right? So if one supplier says, hey, we'll get a product to your customer within 10 days, but another supplier says, hey, we'll get a product to your customer within 30 days, then your store policy needs to be the example of the 30 days. Nobody's going to get mad about getting their product before you quoted that timeout. But you need to only have one concentric policy instead of going down and listing multiple different examples of what can happen if you buy this product or if you buy that product.
Yeah. Okay. So as an example, right, for the restocking fee, I've gone with the highest percentage, which is a 30% restocking fee, and just use that as a blanket across the entire store. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. You want just the blanket one completely across the entire store then. You want to
Okay.
do
Yeah,
that as
I'm
well
with
with
you.
your shipping policies.
But I guess so. Just back to the original question, though, would you advise reducing the length of the policies to kind of the bare minimum information, or is that not advisable because once you update them later, you'll get suspended again, anyways?
It really depends on what type of information you're looking to remove. You Our process is always giving Google the least amount of information possible to get you verified. The font
That's
small on
okay.
my computer.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I had my Google Merchant set up, and everything was great. I did get that one error about the GTINs, not having GTINs for the products. So then I went back to Shopify and added GTINs for everything, and it wasn't like syncing properly because it was still showing that to me. And so then what I did is I applied a rule to make it so that there's no GTIN marker necessary. And as soon as I created that rule, my account got suspended due to policy issues, stuff like that, misrepresentation. So then I flipped it back. I took off the rule and I created an appeal. Am I going the right way about this, or what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, if you did something and then were suspended kind of after the fact, that's absolutely going to be kind of the point of causality that caused your suspension, especially depending on what types of products your suppliers or whatever type of niche you chose. Those products are maybe sold across Google in a multitude of ways. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but Google knows whether or not this product has a GTIN. They're just
Yeah.
not really assisting you in kind of listing that GTIN, and they're expecting you to put that information in there. They do that in essence. So when the algorithm is comparing products, it can just go, oh, okay, these GTIN numbers are the same. They're the same products. So they advertise them the same way.
Yeah. And how long does it take when I update my SKU and GTIN on Shopify for it to flow? Because the product flows right away, like it shows up with the images and everything. The only box that doesn't update is the GTIN, and I waited 24 hours and I still couldn't get it to sync. Is that normal, or is that normal? Seen?
How were you able to identify that your GTIN numbers didn't sync over into your merchant center?
Is that normal? Well, I would get that limited, that the product is limited. So it would go from it would go to under review right away. It would sit there for like 5 to 15 minutes, and then from under review, it switched to limited. Is that normal? I could go click on the product, and once you click on the product, you can see all the fields that were updated. So like the picture comes through, the model number, the name, the brand, everything except the GTIN. Even the SKU came through, but not the GTIN. Is that normal?
Okay, so then inside of Simprosis, you will see that there are 3 menu options when you go into select how you want to provide this certain information into Google. One of them is like GTIN numbers, another one is a SKU number, and then another option is like a custom product. I would tell you to check those and make sure that you have the correct option selected that you want in there. Worst case scenario, if you've gone through and all of those are already kind of checked and you're sure that they're the right way you want them to be, you can unsync your merchant center with some process, just unlink the connection and then relink, and then that should repopulate all your products. It shouldn't take more than 24 hours. Usually it's only a few hours.
Okay. And then I did get that. I got this one error that said that the products are also going through their initial review. Is that normal? So even though they've been like technically approved, it said that I have to wait like 3 to 5 days. Is that something that eventually goes away? Is that normal?
Yeah, so once you first initialize a product feed into Google, it goes through 2 processes. It goes through an automated check, and then it also goes through a manual check. That manual check is typically the holdup because Google has thousands of people creating these a day, and somebody has to go in there and verify that your products are accurate to what
is that
they're looking for inside of a merchant center.
Okay, so now that I created the appeal, I should just sit tight and wait for that. Or should I do the unsyncing now, or should I wait and hold off on that?
I would do that now and then go ahead and submit for the appeal after you've resynced. But you said that you created an appeal. Can you tell me what you did there, or are you just using the merchant center button?
Is that normal? No, I went into the merchant center button, said fix, and then it said do an appeal. Then I had to fill out this form with like all my data, like my Shopify ID, my email address, everything. Is that normal? And so I already submitted yesterday.
Yes. Okay. So that's actually a slightly different misrepresentation. We call that a soft suspension. So what they're looking for is they're looking for you to verify information about who you are in regards to what you're saying, right? So if that's the case, I would also make sure that you go through and that all your addresses are correct, that you are not using like a virtual address, like you said, on your store on the backside of the merchant center anymore. And I think that that's what the holdup was there. You should, after you did that, did you also then say proceed to reviewing your site? Is that what you did after you verified your information?
I didn't see that in there, and here I can paste a screenshot of the suspension, but everything that it talks about to follow the SEO guidelines, to have an SSL certificate, transparency about business identity, business model. Like I'm using a real address for both Merchant Center and Shopify, so the address shouldn't be an issue. Is that normal? Like I said, when I initially started the store, I never got this. It was only like when I made that. Is that normal? Remove the GTIN, but is that normal? I pasted it in the IM window what the suspension looks like.
Yeah, so you got hit with a soft suspension.
Okay.
Excuse me. You got hit with a soft suspension, and now they are going through the automated check process. I mean, you can see down here at the bottom, it says Google found this through an automated check. So it was most likely that your address kind of flagged, and then you did the product update. So then the computer was like, hey, look, we don't like this. There's a few things that need to be changed here, which then they give you the soft suspension to verify your information. Now you need to get through a manual check. So that's why the holdup will kind of take a little bit longer.
Okay.
As long as you provided good, accurate information during that verification, you should be good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I can even provide like documents if they want to see like my LLC's registered to this address, and I can like upload that information if they need to see it.
Yeah. Awesome. And I wouldn't unsync your products until this is completed. Okay. Let this go through, let it run its process. And then once this is done, you can go ahead and do that unsyncing, resyncing issue. And that the fact that it is kind of in the suspension review might be the reason why your GTINs aren't populated in your store.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Is that normal? Cool. That's all I had. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for your questions. So welcome in, guys. Like I said, we're just answering questions about Google Merchant Center suspensions. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Is that norm?
Hi, Randall.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, so I got my suspension lifted. I created a new one with my address from my hometown. So this has been like past 3 days. But the thing is like, okay, I got the soft suspension, like you said. I apply my ID with all my address was on my ID, right? So 2 days ago it was lifted my suspension. 3 days. But the thing is, it's not showing up on Google Shopping. So should I wait to, upload more products to go to Google Ads? What could be the thing here?
So you're saying that you came out of a suspension a few days ago and none of your products are showing up in Google Shopping. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that could be a couple of things. What I would do is I would go to the merchant center, check your products, make sure that they're not limited and that they are approved. If they are approved and everything looks good, one of the reasons why it may not be showing up inside of the shopping feed is just because you're a new merchant center who might have a lot of competition inside of your niche. If that's the case, then what I would recommend is that you actually kind of move on and you start working on the advertising side of it. Once you start advertising, then I would double check Google Shopping and you should be able to find your products pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, that will be. You think it could be like worth to contact support or that number that Google Shopping has on the general account options to call?
I don't think it's a major non-starter issue. I think it might just be like a slightly oversaturation issue. Also, since it's been 3 days, I would just kind of move along into the steps that you're provided here and then see if it's still an issue. If you call Google support, it's going to take a good bit of your time before you get to somebody who's going to be able to actually answer this question and review what's going on, especially since you're a new merchant center without any kind of back data for them to go, okay, we need to be able to provide support. Google provides its support in tiers. These tiers are generally associated to what your spend looks like inside of your Google Ads account and around your products.
Okay, great. So the other thing is about Google Ads. I am at advertiser verification. I have the LLC from USA and all of that stuff. But I don't know if when I create the ads, the campaigns, they should disappear, but it appears like not eligible in any campaigns. That's nothing to worry about, right?
What exactly displayed is not eligible in any of the campaigns?
My products, my products that I fit to from Merchant Center that are on Google Ads, it says like not eligible, no, something like that. When does
So that's definitely more of a deeper rooted issue. Okay, that's probably why you're not finding any of your products on Google Shopping then, instead of it being a new Google Merchant Center. What I would do is I would go into your Google Merchant Center and check the products feed and see what needs attention. You should get a bunch of bright pink boxes inside of there telling you, hey, look, these products are not good for X, Y, and Z reason. And then also inside of the Shopify, go to Simprosis and check your products there and see if that's giving you any of the red circles instead of the green check marks.
No, the thing is like my underneath attention tab, it's all green. It's nothing to worry about. There's no signaling, nothing over there. Also on
And then is that also the same inside of the Merchant Center, or is that just the Simprosis?
Yeah, on Merchant Center is it's approved. It's not limited. It was limited for a day, and then it goes to approved.
Yeah, so if you go to products and then there's a second tab underneath the products page that says needs attention. If you click on the needs attention button, that's where I would start looking. If Google Ads is saying that none of your products are eligible, then you're having some kind of syncing issue here.
What issue do you mean?
A syncing issue between your merchant center and your Google Ads account. If they're all approved and they're all good to go inside of your merchant center, but Google Ads is saying, hey, these are not eligible, then there's some kind of issue there between the Google Merchant Center and the Google Ads account.
Yeah, because I have yeah, on my needs attention tab on products, there's nothing to. It says product that needs your attention will appear here, but there is no products there, right? So
Okay, and then when did it come out of the limited status?
the 17, 2 days, 3 days ago.
Yeah, so they should definitely be approved. I'm actually going to change my recommendation and I would reach out to support, or I would reach out to somebody who might have a little bit more experience with this, maybe one of your coaches, and see if they can find any issues for you.
Okay, so that could be a syncing problem, as you say, right?
Yeah, it could be a syncing issue between the Merchant Center and the Google Ads account, but the fact that you're not finding them on Google Shopping and that they're also saying that they're not eligible on Google Ads is telling me that there's a deeper rooted issue here. What's your niche, by the way?
It's not health, not health related. It's more like outdoors.
Okay. Yeah, so I would definitely do a lot of checking around your products. One of the other things you can do is make sure you go to Google Shopping and I'm sure you did this during your research, but make sure you go to your Google Shopping and search for some of the products you're trying to sell and make sure that they can be found there by other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that then.
Very good.
No. All right. Yeah. Also, is it necessary to have my um? I mean, this is like more like how will you say, the face of the company, right? Like having the logos and all of that. Is it necessary to have it right now in the business info, like those colors for ads?
No, not inside of the Merchant Center. You can update that at any single time. You might have some issues with kind of updating your logo. You want to make sure that there's not a bunch of words on your logo, a bunch of text around your logo, but you can update that, change that literally on a couple of day basis. It just has to get approved once you do update.
Okay. One last question. On my previous GMC account, I have my business info details, the checkout. It was like I had like Shop Pay and Apple and Google Pay, right? I didn't have to do a thing. But right now I am they're giving me the option to edit checkout settings, and there is no appear automatically Google Pay and that stuff. So would that be an issue too, or because I cannot see. Last time I had a problem with Apple Pay that it wasn't not signaling Merchant Center and my Shopify, but Shop Pay and Google Pay were there, right? But now when I put details in business info, checkout is like empty. The payment method that my store has, right? So checkout it's like I have to edit checkout settings, like including a URL to your card or checkout page, but I don't know if I have to do that or not.
Yeah, you do have to do that. They're changing the rules around the Merchant Center. You have to include that linkage that takes you right to the checkout page for them to be able to add that in there. They'll verify your payment methods. Also, make sure that those payment methods are still turned on the backside of Shopify.
So that checkout will be the payment method, right? Because it's
the checkout link is actually the direct link to your checkout page. So like when you go to like the checkout and then you have like that form fill on Shopify, that's the linkage that they're looking for.
Okay. All right then. Yeah, we'll look into that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. David, how can I help you, my man?
Hey, Randall. Sorry, just a follow-up question before submitting a review. As I was saying earlier, so I've created a new GMC account. Would you advise that you disconnect the Google Ads account from GMC before submitting a review because it was linked to a previous one, or does that not matter?
That really comes down to if your Google Ads account is suspended for terms and conditions. If your Google Ads account has not been suspended, then you want to absolutely remove your Google Ads account, your Merchant Center link before you do anything else. Because then if it gets suspended for terms and conditions, you're going to need additional help on how to set up a Google Ads account for it not to be an issue for you down the road.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Of course. I definitely highly encourage any additional questions. I think the only silly question is the one not asked, especially around this topic, guys, because there's so much misinformation out there about a misrepresentation suspension. It's basically like these people have been just trying to throw darts at a dartboard in the dark, and then sometimes they land, sometimes they don't. With Google, again, they keep their policies very ambiguous for the simple fact that that way they can always err on the side of caution. So right now is the opportunity. If you have just a question that might be kind of in the back of your mind, I'll happily answer it to the best of my ability with the experience that I have.
Yeah, so in a hypothetically question or a scenario that, if there is still not showing up, customer support's not helping, should I create like another account? Would that be a thing?
I wouldn't do that until you kind of going down and make sure that you don't have a root issue problem. Many times you can do that before you're going to run into long-term problems. I've definitely said before you can do that, but you need to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, not just because of a issue that could be minor that you're just kind of unaware about that could later then become a major issue for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So also I was thinking about, since I upload my ID to my previous ID from Merchant Center, I deleted all, right? So it's supposed to not be a problem in that, right? Because it's the email that was attached to that ID is no longer available. So using that other email, that could not be a problem. Correct?
Correct. As long as you closed out the other merchant center, then no, it shouldn't be a problem whatsoever.
Okay. All right.
Hello, so it's me again. I was trying to make a Google business account, so I guess it's GMB called. And now it's asking about address. So I still need to enter my home address, right? There.
Yeah, so with a Google My Business, you want to enter in your home address, and then you want to go in there and you want to just tell it not to display that address. Then you can set up a service area of the whole United States if you want, or if you're feeling really spicy, you can go in there and enter a service area by state by state. They will verify that address as well, so you don't want to use a registered agent address either there, or that will also get suspended.
And also, I have an apartment number. Should I enter that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. David, how can I help you?
Hey, I wanted to ask, there was a previous person that posted a link or a screenshot of their error message, and it is, I think, almost identical to the one that I have. So if I just drop mine in the chat quickly, would you mind taking a look? Because I think you said they have a soft suspension.
Yeah, so the reason I know that they had a soft suspension, you can absolutely drop it, but it's going to be the generic one that everybody gets. How I know that it's a soft suspension is because they had to provide their identification, right? So they had to verify some additional information about their account. Whereas you don't have to do that if it's more of a hard suspension. Could you go ahead and share that again so I can pull up the waiver here?
Yeah, I've just dropped it in now. I just wanted to check if this is helpful at all in directing where I should focus my attention.
Yeah, so it absolutely is, for the simple fact, the very bottom line, if you read there, it says that Google found this issue through a manual review. So that means that you passed and that's different than what Christian shared, right? Christian says that he passed his through an automated review. So he got stuck at the automated process. You're getting stuck at the manual process. So that means that somebody is coming to your store and they're physically seeing something that they do not like or they do not agree with. I would typically tell you in this case to refer back to your policies and make sure that your policies match one side of your merchant center as they do for your store. That's where I would begin looking.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. Sam, how can I help you?
Hey, how are you, Randall? Happy holidays. I'm just about to get started, and I'm trying to avoid all of these suspensions, and I'm trying to figure out if the distributor I'm working with, who has, let's say, 300 products that I would like to potentially put up on the site right away. I recall on another call that someone mentioned that, stick with a few products to start and build up, like, so that Google learns nothing shady is going on, and from there kind of build it out. So I'm trying to understand like the timeline, and like a best practices or approach to, let's say, doing it in 3 phases, doing it, am I okay after the first week to do, all remainders and possibly like another category, just I guess that makes sense. If you can speak to that a bit.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. 300 products in the eyes of a merchant center is not a whole lot, just to be completely transparent with you. Okay. The recommendation I made, I think the one that you're referring to, was somebody was coming out of a suspension and they were worried about adding more products during this time. So slow and steady always wins this race. You could do it in batches of 100. You're going to know pretty quickly if it's a producting issue, but as long as you've gone in there and you've applied all the correct information, right? How are we comparing our products? If you remember earlier in this call, I don't know if you were here, but Simprosis gives you 3 options. It gives you the SQ number, the GTIN number, or this is a custom product. Make sure that you have that selected appropriately. We just don't want to add thousands of products that are going to cause an issue down the road, especially if they're all missing GTINs. Google has changed over to a percentage based idea. So if you have only 300 products and 150 of them do not have GTINs or are missing product issues, then you're going to get flagged and might suffer from a suspension because that's 50%. Generally, what we're seeing is it's anywhere from 10 to 25% that's causing these major issues for people. So as long as you went in, did your due diligence around your products, you could even upload all 300 at one time and be okay.
Got it. That kind of leads me right into my next question, which is, this GTIN, SKU, when dealing with, like, let's say, a manufacturer that doesn't sell by definition direct, into the consumer, meaning there's no UPC, there's going to be a model number, let's say a Logitech PTZ Pro 2, like that's the name of the camera, but it comes in white, black, gray, and that means it's going to have different model numbers, potentially with different suffixes. And then on top of that, it has, there's a manufacturer part number, which does not change. So for the sake of staying consistent and picking like a approach to continue do this over and over again in the same way, should I stick with, should I kind of look for products that just have the same kind of characteristics and structure, meaning it has a model name, it has a manufacturer part number, and it has a, MSRP price or something along those lines. But I'd like to not have to pick products that have all different types of, product characteristics to them, ultimately leading to nothing being uniform on the back end. I think I heard on a call the other day, someone was changing their warranty, policy, and they had a bunch of different brands that all had different warranties. And I think one of the coaches said that you pick the most strict one and kind of set it as a standard across the board. That's best practices, best way of doing things. So to that, logic, how would you kind of recommend the GTIN, UPC, model number, manufacturer part number? Like, what's the most commonly used and what direction is Google trending?
Google is looking for either a GTIN, a SKU number, an SQU number, an MPN, which you mentioned, which is a manufacturing part number. You want to take those things and kind of make a basis of, hey, I would like to have this information readily available to me. If your company or your distributor is bringing that products across the seas, it absolutely has a GTIN or an ISBN, another number that Google's looking for, because they legally have to bring it in through customs. It has to have an ISBN number. So those things are kind of what you want to look out for. If it is something, for example, a very unique product, and let's say that they're the only manufacturer who makes it, You can also use the third option inside of Cyprosis, which is the custom product, which you might run into from time to time. But as long as it has either a manufacturer part number, a SKU number, a UPC, an ISBN, or a GTIN, then it's totally fine. I would also recommend just kind of working with suppliers who are more accustomed to these things and can get you that information easily. Usually not every point of contact inside of the supplier chain even knows what these numbers are that we're referring to. But I promise you, if they're a large enough organization, there's somebody inside of there whose job it is to make sure these things are correct.
I think GTIN is a UPC generator for books and publications, and then an ISBN, if I recall, like I remember that being an Amazon original generated SKU. I don't know if that's true or not true, but G
Yeah, I believe an ISBN is International Standard Business Number. So what they use that for, I don't know if it was originally generated by Amazon, but what they use that for now is, let's say I make a product over in Europe and I want to sell it here in the United States. I have to ship it from Europe to the United States to be able to sell it. Therefore, I have to have an International Standard Business Number. That's what customs uses to identify a product nowadays. And then that's what I would pay taxes on, is what is that ISBN associated to, and are there any tariffs or anything along those lines that are associated to that ISBN.
Got it. Thank you so much. Very helpful.
So we have about another 15 minutes here, guys. If there's any other questions I can answer for you, I'll happily answer them now. If not, like I said, we'll be meeting on January 3rd for any follow-up questions we may have.
Yeah, I do have one. In case like okay, I'm already approved and all of that. Since it's been days, do I have to wait a couple more days to upload new products?
With your situation in particular, I would actually encourage you to try to upload new products. See if those products then populate, or if you have any issues with those products either.
You recommend that to do right away, like right now, or should I contact support first?
I would recommend doing that first. The more you can do to not contact support, the easier your life will be. Also, just kind of remember, kind of keep it in smaller batches since you are coming out of suspension, right? You don't want to go in there. I don't know how many products you have overall, but you don't want to go in there and upload 2-3x of what your store product size is, and then all of them be flagged for an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that will do.
Hi, Randall. Good, good morning. So, my question is because I live here in Canada and we were advised to put our original address, like how it is registered to our corporate, to make sure that it would be validated by the Google account. So, my question is if we really don't want, because it pose an issue to us because we really want to appear like a US vendor. And do you think getting a US fulfillment center would also be an option for us instead of registering the address that we have in our corporation?
I missed what you said about getting a US. I'm sorry, what was that part?
Um, because our if ideally our goal is to appear like a US vendor, especially our market is in US. So we would don't because normally here in Canada we always put our home address as the corporation address and that would appear on our websites. And I was wondering, do you think getting a US fulfillment center would would be an option for us so that we can just apply and register for that option and then we can put it to our address, or let's say I can update my corporation details and add US address as part of our um registered address.
Actually, my recommendation for you is to not have an address listed on your site. You're going to run into issues depending on where you get that addressing information from here on the state side of getting it verified with Google. So the recommendations I'm making for everybody here inside of the group is go to your website, because we only need 2 out of 3 things. We need an address, we need a phone number, and we need an email. Google consider those different elements that provide you a trust factor, but they only really require 2. So you don't have to have an actual address listed on your website. What you want to do then is on the backside of your Google Merchant Center is use your personal address, because that address you put into your Google Merchant Center is not one that is shared publicly. That's only between you and Google, and then Google uses that information to verify that you are a real person trying to do real business.
Okay, so just to cut the short, like front end shouldn't display the address. It doesn't necessarily need to display our home address for the front end of our website. Okay.
Correct. And there have been some students who have had success with displaying a website, an address on their website on the front end of it that does not match the information on the backside. But just as a general good practice, I would just avoid it altogether.
Yes, because I know for sure I should not display the virtual address that we have applied in US, because that would somehow trigger also a misrepresentation, I think. So I will then follow your advice. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for asking your questions.
Sorry, Randall, I missed to ask. Because I'm in the middle of making my policies for the pages of my website, and in all those policy pages like privacy, shipping, terms and conditions, I have displayed all my personal address as a contact point of address. So should I just remove them all and I can just display my
Yeah.
display?
Exactly. You don't want your address listed anywhere on the site, not just in the footer, just anywhere in general. You just want to go ahead and remove that then. We just want to make sure that we have those 2 points of contact, our phone and our email. You can put that inside of your policies. You can do like a reference to your contact us page. If you need any help, find our information here and then do a contact us page. On your contact us page, make sure you have what's called a placeholder where you list your store name again. It's one of Google's weird rules where they want people to know who they're contacting right on the contact us page, even if you have a whole bunch of branding everywhere else. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for your time, guys. If nobody else has any final questions, I'm going to go ahead and start ending this call. It's been a pleasure answering all your questions. And as I said, we'll be back again in 2 weeks. That's on January 3rd. So I want to wish you all a happy holiday and a happy new year. And then I'll see you guys then. Okay. Good luck out there.